Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us. K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
Hey everybody, it's Wednesday night. We're back again. The Three Musketeers. It's Joe Tierney here with Bodine Sanders and Adrian Ferris. Hello, gentlemen. How are you this evening?
Hey Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
What's up, Adrian?
Adrian may be having technical difficulties. He's waving, but I'm not sure if he hears us.
He's having some tech issues.
All right, that was me earlier on. All right, so we'll give him a minute. He doesn't. We are talking, Adrian. So why don't you tell me about your week, Bodine? I'll send Adrian a message.
Week's been crazy. All good. Podcast interviews regarding my book. Business stuff. We can hear you now, Adrian. Ferris, we can hear you.
Well, he can't hear us. The problem.
Is that what it is?
He can't hear us. He's putting on some new headphones.
Oh, yeah. So listen, you know what this Friday's date is?
I certainly do, because it's my son's birthday. It's JoJo's birthday. It's December 17th.
Really?
Hey, guys.
You can hear us. It is.
Spider-Man movie.
And guess where we're going to celebrate the birthday?
You're going to the movie, huh?
We're going to the movie. We have our tickets already. We're all ready. We've been having a whole Spider-Man week here.
Oh,
We've
really?
been watching all the old ones. They went all the way back to Tobey Ferris. Tobey Maguire. and Andrew Garfield. So, of course, our favorite is Tom Holland. But so we agree with you, Justin. Tom Holland is the GOAT of Spider-Man, so I'll give him that. And he seems like an all-around nice kid. I actually was at a Hollywood premiere about, I think like 10 years ago now, and I sat next to Tobey Maguire was at the table next to mine, and he didn't seem very friendly to me. So Tom Holland's my guy.
Well, I think, and you can text me updates while you're watching the movie. I think this is going to be a Spider-Verse type narrative where all the other Spider-Mans are in this Spider-Man. So
that's the rumor.
That's the rumor.
That's the rumor. So we'll see. Sometimes those Marvel rumors, though, are leaked and they turn out to be false. We've fallen for a few. So we'll see. All right. You want me to spoil it for you? Live texting? I could get in trouble.
No. You can text me every, once every 30, 40 minutes just to say, it's really good. And I'll be like, okay, that's good. You don't need to tell me details.
All right. Well, I could get in trouble from the patrons around me. There have been some fist fights. I might be on Twitter. we might be on Twitter or TikTok for somebody's fist fighting with me in the movie theater.
Well, listen, we don't need that to happen. Feel free to text me after when you're home, safe, and you're ready to close your eyes and call some Z's. You can say, it was a great movie. So
all right, we'll play it by ear. So how are you doing, Adrian? How was your week?
I'm doing very well. Very, very good week. Good week of football. Big surprises this afternoon in the early signing period, which was pretty cool to see. Looking forward to some good football this weekend, obviously, in the NFL as well. So.
All right, so you gave us a teaser. Why don't you dive right into the story? It was very interesting to watch. I thought it was endearing and certainly sounds like it was a historic moment. So give us the details.
So what's even cooler is if you were able to see the video. I don't know if you guys saw the video.
I saw it.
But as you know, I train in baseball, and one of the things that's pretty comment here is that I live in Gwinnett County, and my kids, both of my boys, went to high school at Collins Hill High School. So we're talking about today being the first day of the early signing period for college football. And obviously, a lot of the top recruits, your 5 stars, your 4 stars, they sign their letters of intent, send them over to the schools, and the schools obviously put out who has signed with them. The number one player in the country is Travis Hunter, and he plays at Collins Hill High School. They just won the state championship this weekend, and on Saturday, this coming Saturday, they're playing on ESPNU against a team from Washington in what is to be kind of a national championship game for high school. Travis Hunter he's a two-way player. He's a corner. He's the top corner in the country, and he's also a wideout. Very good on both sides of the ball, and he has been committed to Florida State for a very, very long time. I mean, it's even been one of those things where, he's been committed, and as the season's gone and we've gotten deeper into the season, you've had Kirby Smart helicopter into North Gwinnett when they were playing North Gwinnett to, get on the sideline and watch Travis play and see if they can flip that commitment from Florida State to Georgia. And obviously other schools have come out to see him as well. Well, today, later in the afternoon, the news came out, and, we talked about Deion Sanders a few shows ago, just talking about coaches and Bo, you've talked about Deion and him being at Jackson State, the HBCU, and everything that kind of goes with it. Well, the big shocker of the day was Travis Hunter. He flipped his commitment, and he signed with Jackson State and Deion Sanders today, which was probably the biggest surprise of signing day. I mean, there's nothing that's going to happen after this that's going to top that. And, the importance is he's the first 5-star, and he's also, I believe, the first top ESPN top 300 player or 5-star to commit to an HBCU since they started really, doing this back in 2006. So it's a big deal. That one signing puts Jackson State in the top 50 of the recruiting classes in the country, and they're an FCS team. They're not an FBS team. So crazy day. Very interesting. I went in to do my lessons today, and one of our students, the new owner, his son TJ, was there, and he goes to Collins Hill High School now. And I walked in and I said something to him, and he's like, "Yeah." He walked in. He was up on the stage, and he put a Georgia hat on, and then took that and threw it off to the side. Then he went and took the Florida State hat on, where he was supposed to commit. He takes that. Nah, I'm not going to do that either. And the next thing you know, he starts unzipping his jacket, and his mom throws him a hat from the side, puts it on his head, and it's got the J on there. Jackson State. It was just a crazy, crazy deal.
It was great. I mean, his shirt, I believe, said "Believe," and he had an Auburn hat up there too. But he had committed in March of 2020. That's how long it's been.
Yes.
And did you see his tweet afterwards and what he said? If not, I can read it to you.
I didn't.
I heard it, but go ahead and read it. Yeah, go ahead and read it.
I'm not going to read the whole thing. It was pretty lengthy, but I think the most significant part was he said, historically, Black colleges and universities have a rich history in football, Hunter said in his post. I want to be part of that history, and more, I want to be part of that future. I'm making this decision so that I can light the way for others to follow, make it a little easier for the next player to recognize that HBCUs may be everything you want and more. I thought that was very, and Deion Sanders also signed his son. I don't know if you know that. His son, he's a quarterback, and he signed him to the team as well.
Well, his son has been the quarterback.
Oh, okay.
His other son is a defensive back. His other son, the defensive back, transferred in from, I believe, uh, the Gamecocks, South Carolina. So he has two sons playing for him already. His son, that's the quarterback, who's a freshman, not a redshirt freshman, a true freshman, won the outstanding player of the year in that in that category of conference category. No. I'm sorry, I got it wrong. They just debuted the Jerry Rice Award. This year was the first year for the Jerry Rice Award. His son won the first Jerry Rice Award. So we talked about this a couple of times. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I said, look out, because once you get one, the floodgates are going to open. And basically what it's doing is it's going to allow parity throughout all of college football, right? If we look at college football, they were back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, right? The historically black colleges had, the bulk of the athletes they had a large number of athletes making it to the pros when African Americans were allowed to play, to go pro and get drafted and play. But they plucked them, or they drafted them, or they recruited them out of the HBCUs once that process started, because there was a very small percentage of African Americans playing at mainstream schools. So, probably 25 to 30%, if not more, no more than 40% of all Hall of Famers are from HBCUs, right? So, again, this is just going to open the floodgates. So you've got Eddie George coaching at Tennessee State. You've got another coach who just decided to coach Grambling. I could have the school wrong. Is it Grambling? What's it? The Hugh, the coach that used to coach the Cleveland Browns. He's now coaching at an HBCU. So
yeah, that just happened this week, right?
That just happened this week. So basically what's going to happen is the HBCUs are going to get the talent that they used to have, going to elevate a lot of the HBCU schools, and then you're going to have some serious fair and parity within bowl games. They're going to be making money. They can, improve their facilities and so forth. So it's just a good thing. So, and that doesn't mean, and you know what's so funny? I have a good friend, a really good friend. He's white. He's married to a biracial woman. And he actually said to me, he goes, I thought HBCU schools wouldn't allow white players to play on their team. And I said,
they're all over the place.
I'm like, where did you get that idea from? I said, no. Just because mainstream schools didn't allow African Americans to play for them, that doesn't, two wrongs don't make a right. HBCU schools didn't turn down a white athlete who wanted to come to their school. They welcomed them with open arms, right? So he seriously thought because their schools were titled HBCUs, that meant white kids couldn't come and play there. I'm like, that you couldn't be further from the truth as you are from the moon, right? I'm like, that's crazy. So there is a history of white athletes playing in HBCU schools. I mean, it's out there, right? We may not talk about it, but it's definitely out there. The second leading scorer in basketball from Cheney University is a white guy. The second leading scorer from Cheney University He played high school basketball with Earl the Pearl Monroe in Philadelphia. His name is Toby Tyler, Richard Toby Tyler. And he's the second, and that record is never going to be broken because the guy that's sitting at number one scored so many points, it's ridiculous. So he's going to be in second place for a long time. So, it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. It's going to bring more attention. We already see ESPN promoting having HBCUs on TV on ESPN, right? And so it's just only going to get better. It's going to make college football as a whole better. And it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. So I want to throw in another feel-good story. Did you see the college basketball game, the University of Houston, the Houston Cougars lost a tight game on a questionable call, 83-82 at Alabama. And the players left the court, and one of the players, they were knocking over chairs. They threw over a garbage can, and the garbage went all over. They were essentially being sore losers, and one of the teammates actually stopped. I'm not going to say the name of the individual who threw the trash, but Jamal Sheed stopped, and he picked up the can, picked up the trash. And and I just thought that was a great moment. He was probably disappointed as well, but he took a second and recognized that that's certainly not the way to handle it. And it was a very mature response. And I just thought it was a great moment and really an example of his character for sure.
And because of his maturity, he made ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
So his mom is proud to say, that's my son who showed character by picking up the trash after people threw the trash cans all over the place. Absolutely.
Well, and it was his teammates. It wasn't just people. It was his teammates.
Right.
And Santa saying that was awesome. I agree. And not only has he made ESPN, he's trending all over. He's trending all over the world. So
is he?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Good for him. So that was a great story. Before we segue into the not so great stories, I wanted to throw that out there too. We had a lot of not so happy news in the world of sports. I don't know if you saw first of all, you want to delve into Urban Meyer. He seems to be, his character is pretty questionable to me. I think that he sounds like, certainly not my type of guy, as you can imagine. Reports came out that he kicked the kicker, Josh, right? His name, Josh Lambeau, they had during practice. That came out today. And he said that, I want to make sure I get it right. Josh Lambeau, he had a rough start to the season. They let him go after he missed 3 field goals early on in the season. But during the preseason, apparently, Urban Meyer kicked him. And he said, and he seemed to have acknowledged it. Lambeau spoke for the first time about what happened to him. He said it certainly wasn't as hard a kick as it could have been, but it certainly wasn't a love tap. He said, "Hey, dipshit, make your fucking kicks," and kicked him in the leg. And he did report it to counsel while he was still on the team. He reported it to the front office, and they did receive the complaint, and they acknowledged the complaint. And he said that other players saw and heard the incident. Meyer denied that it happened quite that way. He said, Josh's characterization of me in this incident is completely inaccurate. So I don't know. It sounds like, he's faced numerous run-ins over the last week. I don't know if you heard about that. With players, he publicly blaming coaches and players. At a party, he said he's a winner and his assistant coaches are losers. He also had a heated argument with receiver Marvin Jones, who people say is very mild-mannered after he was insulting the entire receiver crew. I don't know. Sounds like he's a bit of a nightmare to me. I don't know what you guys think.
It's falling apart. We talked about this when he had the episode when he stayed, right? He stayed back when his team lost. And listen, I never saw the video. I don't know if you remember this, I never saw the video regarding him in his own restaurant.
No, yeah, I saw it.
I never saw it. Guess what? I saw it this week. That is crazy. Why did his wife not, come on. That wasn't oh, I'm sorry, let me squeeze by, I'm dancing. That was a lap dance.
Right.
I'm telling you, that is, it's falling apart. There's no way he's lost the team. And Ferris, once a coach loses the team, it's over.
Absolutely. And for me, you look at what's going on and you kind of have to think he's trying to get out of there quicker than the end of the season. Just some of the stuff that he's doing, it just doesn't make any sense. And it really seems like he's saying, hey, can you get rid of me now? I've had enough. And, we come from a different place when it comes to coaches and players. This is a different generation. His players don't like him. And way back when, it wouldn't have mattered whether his players liked him or not. But today, it means everything. It's part of the deal. If you can't get along with your players, you can't get them to play for you, however you want to preface it, then you're done. So, I know the owner is trying to smooth it out and trying to make it sound like he wants to think about the decision and make sure he makes the right decision. There's no other decision to make.
Yeah.
It's get rid of him. And at this point, you may as well just do it now.
Yeah. Well, Kelvin's agreeing, such a good coach. Can't see how we will be back next year. He will probably be fired. David agrees. Sounds like he's trying to run himself out of the NFL.
There you go.
And San agrees, right? It's my favorite saying. I talk about it all the time professionally, and I say, I tell my team and the people I work with all the time, you can't be a leader if you don't have any followers. Leaders have to have followers. You can be a boss, you can be a head coach, you can be, the CEO of an organization, but that doesn't mean you're a good leader. I mean, you could be a good leader on on teams, and it's not always the quarterback who's the leader. Sometimes it's somebody in the back channel. Most of the time it is, but anywhere along the line, anybody can develop leadership skills, and if you don't have it, you eventually things will unravel for sure.
I can't believe my Irish twin only just said right when she's in the fire in Jacksonville, and she probably hears more than anybody based on her job in the protect and serve industry. So she probably hears everything. Listen, I agree with Calvin. He was a great college coach. He's staining his reputation now. So he needs to save face and make some changes, because it's not looking good. And people will remember, right? Nick Saban did the same. Well, Nick Saban didn't have this type of turmoil, but Nick Saban went to Miami, had some issues.
And Sam's coming out a little stronger now. Look, he has to
go. Nick Saban went to Miami, had some issues, and went back to college. But he was able to win, so he's got a new, right? He's got a new brand. If the current coach, Urban Meyer, leaves Jacksonville and doesn't get a chance to repair his reputation, i.e., the former coach of the Raiders, Chucky, people only remember the last thing you did. So he's got to figure out something. And he'll probably go back to college because he has to. He can't end his career with the mess he's leaving in Jacksonville. And with all
what college is going to want him? He's a horrible role model.
You'll be surprised.
But college is different, though.
You'll be surprised.
So in college, in
It's different.
college,
Yeah, it's different.
you get to choose your players. In the NFL, you don't get to choose your players. So you're a good recruiter. The kids know you win. You've won in the past. You go to that big name university. He'll get kids to come if that happens, and he'll win again because it's just a totally different atmosphere. You win in college based on the quality of the coaching, the quality of the staff, but also how well you can recruit. And if you can recruit, then you've got a shot.
He, if I'm not mistaken, help me out. He won at Utah, he won at Florida, and he won at Ohio State.
That's correct.
So he's
championships at Florida and Ohio State.
So he's got a great reputation of winning in college. So he will get an opportunity. Now, I will not disagree, Ferris. I'll push back just a little bit. The current college athletes have a little bit more power because of the name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal. So where they were trapped prior to those two opportunities happening, he could get away with being the strong father figure and the tough guy regarding, keeping young men in check. So, the college players have a little bit more opportunity, a little more power, right? A little more power to not take an uncomfortable situation, right? At wherever he's coaching. But I'm pretty sure he's going to do fine, and you'll be surprised. It'll be a Big Ten school because that's where he's from. He's from the Ohio area, so he's familiar with the Big Ten. Another Big Ten school will come calling because they know he whipped them hard and bad when he was coaching at Ohio State.
And I think the other thing you have to remember is he left Ohio State under pressure and allegations and wrongdoings as well. So he may not be back. You never know.
Yeah, with cancel culture today, it's hard for me to believe he's going to come back. And George disagrees with us in entirety. George is saying he won't be fired at all. Khan has already done an interview and said he won't be going anywhere, which is true. He has done that, but I think the pressure is just mounting and building, and he's not winning.
He's just throwing shade.
Yeah.
He's just throwing shade. That's all he's doing.
Oh, the owner has to say that to keep some type of civility and keep that team to it's a powder keg. It's ready to blow. So he's got to do whatever he can to keep it intact. There are 4 games left. Imagine if the team blows up right now with 4 games left. He'll be the laughing stock of the league if it blows up right now at this moment.
Yeah. And George is saying he's still under investigation for the Ohio State scandal. He can't go back to college. So.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. That's right. George is in the Midwest area, right? The Big Ten market. Yeah. So that's right. He can't go there.
And there's already been talk about how much he likes Charlie Strong, who's already on the staff right now, ex-Texas head coach, saying a lot of the players like him. So I don't see Urban coming back. I can't see how that could happen.
Will's thrown out a scenario. If the Bears interview Ryan Day and he heads to the NFL, like many people speculate, the OSU job could be open again. Who knows? I mean, strange things do happen, but I think that we're such a politically correct culture now that it'd be hard for me to see him come back. But we'll see. Time will tell. Bo's proven us wrong before.
You never know what kind of relationships he's built with alumni while he was at Florida and Ohio State, right? Remember, there's deep pocket alumni out there who don't care what anybody says. All they see, they have tunnel vision. I want that coach to coach our team because we know he can win and we're going to pay his salary. and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So,
All right, so let's talk about another controversial subject. So I don't know if you saw the report this week, and now that sports is my gig, but well, let me show David's comment first. Could be a smaller Division I school that wants him, hoping the hire will get butts in the seats, pressing their stadium money in their pockets.
David, listen, David is right on time. A lot of folks don't know this, and you can look it up. The difference between a Division I school and a 1AA school is a formula. Let's call it a formula, right? A criteria. You've got to have X amount of seats in your stadium. You've got to sell a certain percentage of those seats. They have to be sold year after year after year. Not, next year it's got to be 3 years ahead. Season tickets sold, right? So when you add that formula, if you can't meet that criteria, then you have to drop down from Division I to 1AA, and then so forth and so on. So he could end up at a 1AA school like a Villanova, a Richmond, right? A Lehigh, a Sam Houston, South Dakota, North Dakota, Holy Cross, those schools, right, in the 1AA category. And that would help sell tickets because those fans and family and students on campus would say, hey, we got a great coach. Let's go to the game. So
True.
All those things count.
So Tim Fielder's making a comment. I'm not sure what he's referring to, but I assume you gentlemen will, saying sad day for Montana and Villanova. I don't know what that refers to, Tim. I don't know if you can clue us in.
We lost last weekend in our playoff games. Because what happened was, if we would have won and Montana would have won, we didn't end up playing each other in the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
So remember, I texted you and said Tim and I were communicating. So yeah, we were talking about that. So we had the lead at halftime, and then
didn't score another point.
Didn't score another point. Yep. So yeah, Tim and I we had our fingers crossed that we would end up playing each other. It never happened.
But he said he got his turkey bowl trophy.
He did. And he texted me a picture of the turkey bowl trophy too. It's pretty good looking.
So I want to talk about, this is a controversial subject in the NFL. It's one that I've thought about, and it's actually the reason I didn't want my sons to play football, of course. And it kind of melds two of my passions. And now sports is one of my passions, but criminal justice has been one of my passions for a long time. I've worked in fields for decades. And Phillip Adams, a former NFL player, and I don't know if you recall, he randomly shot and killed 6 strangers last year. Then he killed himself today. I believe it was today, or perhaps yesterday, a neuropathologist found an unusually severe form of CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And, they said it rivaled Aaron Hernandez's case. They said that's how severe it was. The only treatment for it is to prevent head injury. And of course, that's nearly impossible in the NFL. Even, I guess back in 2019, the NFL announced a $2 million grant award if somebody could come up with a helmet, a top performing helmet that would prevent the problem. But, they haven't been able to do that. And they haven't found a perfect solution. They have made some strides, but it's an ongoing problem, and more players are coming out of the NFL and getting early onset Alzheimer's, some severe memory loss, and it's a progressive impairment. And eventually, for some of these players, it really is traumatic, even if for the ones who don't have suicidal thoughts or violent impulses, their lives really are altered permanently. Bodine, you were a football player, a defensive player. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, it football gets the headlines, but it's really a sports story. Um, it happens in athletes. I'm sorry, soccer athletes that play soccer, even baseball players. It happens to, right? But not as on a higher scale or a higher percentage. So it's a sports story, but obviously because of the violence of football, it's the top story, right? Um,
David saying,
again,
imagine hockey. Yeah, that's
hockey,
true. Yeah,
hockey, right? It's for every sport, right? So the school in Boston is looking for folks to donate their brains from all sports so they can start to collect data, right? Because remember, we talked about this last week regarding the transgender issue. It's all about collecting the information, doing the research, right? And so, um, in one respect, it's a bittersweet conversation for me because remember, I wrote in my book, my mom didn't allow me to play sports until I got to junior high school. She literally had a fist fight with my uncle because my uncle wanted me, because I kept hounding him to hound her to let me play. But the so I missed out on my development, right? Because I didn't play when I was in Pee Wee, Pop Warner, and so forth. But maybe that helped me and protected me in terms of my brain development and less head-on-head collisions. So, you know, who knows, right? But it's a very difficult conversation to have. It's tough, and who knows how many athletes from whatever sport has some form, and I could have some form of it. I won't know until the big Lord calls me home, and if I decide to donate my brain. But I feel for Ferris, who had boys. I had one daughter, so I didn't have to make that decision whether or not she was. If I had a son, would he play flag football or play tackle football? Because imagine the peer pressure a kid gets for not playing tackle football with the kids in the neighborhood, and you got one kid playing flag and 5 other kids on the same block playing tackle. That's got to be tough too, right? So what's a mom and dad supposed to do, right? They don't want their kid to be, unhappy and teased, and so it's a difficult topic.
So
Well,
I
then
just
what
want
David posted right there is absolutely right. And what I was going to say, the tough part about CTE is that they can only find out posthumously. So only after somebody dies can someone determine whether they actually have CTE or not. That is what makes this so sad, because there's really nothing you can do about it. Even if you know somebody and you think that they may have it, there's really nothing that you can do to change it, fix it, diagnose it, whether you can or not. To what you were saying, Bo, with the tackle football and flag football, the great thing now is that there are so many flag football programs now coming up. And I know of professional football players who have their kids playing flag football at a young age now,
Yep.
rather than tackle football,
Because
and
they
really
know
not
better.
letting them get to tackle football until they get to high school.
Yep.
And high schools around here even have flag football as varsity sports now, aside from tackle football. So obviously it's to the point where people are really understanding what's going on and are making a concerted effort to, allow these kids to play the game, but play it with less risk at a younger age. Because that's really where it comes from. You're playing that football from age 6 or age 7, and then you're good enough to get through high school, play collegiately, and then get to the NFL. So it's an ongoing, lingering effect.
Well, I was thinking from a equity perspective, meaning if you're growing up in a poor neighborhood, right, and your parents can't afford to drive you to a flag football group or community that's playing flag football, that kid is going to feel the pressure to put on the helmet and strap on the shoulder pads, right? So then it becomes an equity issue, right? It's not necessarily whether or not the parent really truly understands the CTE issue. I believe me, I put incredible amounts of pressure on my mom. Screamed, I cried and did all those things. And she was like, it's not happening, right? So again, it's a complicated issue, right? But I agree with you. There are flag football, and women's flag football is big. I've seen that on ESPN. So we're making changes, but the question is, are we making changes quick enough? And then I'll tell you this, and Joe, you could jump in. I did see 3:00 in the morning. They have made, and I think it happened 2 days ago, that one of the scientific studies from one of these medical colleges has detected through MRIs of the brain. They think they've made a breakthrough. They're at the beginning stages of using MRIs in folks that are alive to see what the brain looks like healthy, what it looks like in the middle, and what it looks like Hernandez like, right? So they've made a little breakthrough. I think it's going to be printed in the New England Journal of Medicine in the next week. So they've made one little positive step, and maybe it can grow from there.
Right. Technology has improved detection amongst the living. So that came out this week as well. So there is hope. And I do want to say in defense of the NFL that since 2002, they have made approximately 50 rule changes to help protect the players in regard to some of the play. So obviously nobody wants to see that happening, but it's certainly a tragic all the way around.
Right. It's not just about protecting the knees anymore. Yeah. It's about protecting the knees and the head. Right.
All right, so we better jump into the NFL. It's 10:44. We have a couple topics. We're going to have to wait till next week. I didn't want to, or maybe in the week after, we wanted to get into Bubba Wallace, but that's a conversation we don't want to squeeze in just a few minutes. We also wanted to revisit the transgender athletes because Leah Thomas's teammates have weighed in, and it's something we certainly want to address. But before we run out of time, which is creeping up on that hour, let's jump into the NFL. So there are some great games. I mean, Bodine and I were texting on, was it the Monday night game? And he told me it was over. and then I had to text him back in the fourth quarter and say, it doesn't look like it's over yet. And so that was an amazing game, the fun one to watch. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Ferris.
Well, I think if you're talking about the Monday night game, the Rams-Cardinals, obviously it ended up being closer, but the Rams really had a handle on that game for the majority of the game. It really, their defense from snap number one was really all over Kyler Murray. They got a lot of pressure on the Cardinals offense and the Cardinals quarterback. I think more importantly for the Rams was seeing OBJ become a part of that offense this week. He was more than a contributor, scored a touchdown, big pass down the sideline for about 50 yards. So I think that was a good sign for the Rams and they ran the football more this game as well. So I think that's more of what the Rams want to do on a regular basis. And if they can do that effectively, and if that defense, which we know is top of the league, plays like that every week, look out for the Rams like we thought, at the beginning of the season.
Oh, it's scary. If OBJ gets hot, with the quarterback, with his arm, I'm telling you, this playoffs, we said it 4 weeks ago, the last 4 or 5 games of this season is going to be crazy off the charts. And they are. Every game counts. And listen, I tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if, Washington sneaks in the playoffs. Even though they lost to the Cowboys, I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if Washington sneaks in. I'm hoping the Eagles can sneak in, but these next 4 weeks is going to be off the charts.
Well, Washington's still hanging on to that number 7 spot.
Yeah.
In the NFC.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I was going to say, before we get too far into the NFL, I think we ought to, before we run out of time, we ought to give some props to Steph Curry.
Oh, no question.
Oh, yeah.
The baby face assassin, Ferris.
Okay, that's what you were talking about. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Come on. He is the GOAT. There's no question. There's no debate. He is the greatest shooter, period. There's a difference between basketball player and shooter.
Yeah.
He is the GOAT. Mike, no one, period, can come close to Steph Curry.
There's no one disputes that.
No one.
I think that's probably the one, I guess, athlete when it comes to a specific skill set that no matter who you ask will answer who's the best shooter ever, Stephen Curry.
Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. Right. So so we've got him and we've got Wilt, because I don't think anyone is going to ever score 100 points in a basketball game. There's too many athletes that's going to deny that opportunity and play defense on you. So you can rest assured those two things will never change.
Right. And the potential, he's probably going to reach 3,000, right? He's at 2,974. He's going to surpass the 3,000 mark.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy.
He shoots between 250 to 400 a year.
He's only 32 years old.
He's playing at least another, health-wise, he's going to play another. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays another 8 to 10 years.
He may have another 1,500 in him.
Oh, absolutely. No
Just think about that.
No question.
Yeah.
No question.
He could break 5,000, really.
Oh,
yeah.
And if he gets there, it's never going to happen. No one ever is going. If he gets to 4 or 5, no one will ever get that record. Period.
Brandon's hopping in late, saying, "What's up, hey Brandon?" All right, so back to the NFL. We're in our last 10 minutes. Hey, you want to run down some of the games and we'll take a peek at it next week?
What we got tonight?
No doubt. The playoff picture changed a little bit with the Rams winning. The Cardinals dropped from the top spot in the NFC to the 3rd spot. And the other big move was in the AFC, where the Colts jumped into the 6th spot for the wild card out of being off, on the bubble last week. We still have 5 teams in the AFC that are sitting at 7-6, all within the top, the 6 and 7 spot of the wild card in the AFC. And we have 5 teams in the NFC that are at 6 and 7 within, all within that 7 spot. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. First game's tomorrow night, big game, Chiefs at Chargers. I believe the winner of that game, if the Chargers win, they will be in first place, tied with the Chiefs, but I think they would probably, with the head-to-head, be in first place. So Chiefs Chargers in San Diego tomorrow night.
Look what David is saying. Listen, tomorrow night's going to be a big game. It's a big game.
Yeah.
It's going to be on. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. No doubt about it. And then we've got, now that we don't have.
Brandon wants to talk about the Steelers Vikings for a minute.
Are we talking about them?
Well, he wants to.
Well, we're going to get to the Steelers. That's a Sunday game.
Yeah. We got Saturday games.
Yeah, we've got Saturday games first.
Right.
We've got the Raiders and
college football, so we got Saturday games.
Well, he probably wants to talk about last week's game, right? It was the Steelers versus the Vikings this past week.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
And both those Saturday games have playoff implications. We have the Raiders at the Browns at 4:00, and then the Pats at the Colts in the 8:00 game.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of the Raiders and the Browns, remember last week we were talking about the Browns and the Ravens, and I said, you guys both picked the Ravens, and for me, I was thinking Browns, but I just couldn't trust them. And what happened? The Browns came out and really handed it to the Ravens, and the Raiders are just. I think the Raiders are just done for the season. So I'm definitely going with the Browns on Saturday night at home.
So I just want to pull it. So this is the game Bo Dean and I were talking about. Remember, it was 29-0, and then that's the game where you were told me that you texted and said the game's over. But that was a Sunday night game. The reality was, the Steelers came back and it came up to they scored 28 points. Remember in the last I think the last 2 quarters, and how do you do that? So
you're talking about last Thursday's game, Vikings Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's what Brandon's talking about last Thursday.
Yeah. No, you're right. I thought it was over too, but listen, that's why you play the game. Guys, find a way to get back in it, because that 29-0 is embarrassing. So there was a lot of screaming on that sideline. The quarterback, even though he's on his last leg, has a lot of pride, and they do have a good coach. Pittsburgh's got a great coach, so it's never over until it's double zeros on that clock.
Yep. And quickly, I want to congratulate George's son Bryce. Started his basketball career on Monday night, was 50% on his field goals and free throws, but at 8 steals. So congratulations to you, George, and to Bryce. We don't want to run out of time before we acknowledge that.
Nice, Bryce. Nice, Bryce.
Good stuff.
Well, listen, it's going to be some great games this weekend. What are we doing for next week? Because next week is it next weekend? Is next Wednesday's Christmas Eve?
Oh, right. So
Friday's Christmas Eve. But...
Well, I mean our Wednesday show.
Yeah. So Wednesday show is going to be our big, I'll say, holiday party, but I think we all celebrate Christmas. But so, that'll be whatever, the holiday party. We're going to bring out our signature cocktails again. I'm sure Bo Dean will have some props. I'll be bringing in some props. But here is one of the exciting parts is that we're going to post the StreamYard link in the comments, and whomever wants to hop on the show with us, we will have a toast. We'll let you comment live on whatever the topic is of the night. So it'll be the Bo and Joe and Adrian and everyone's show. So we'll be looking forward to that next week. And we also want to remind everybody we still have our YouTube promotion going on. So if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you have a chance to win the Villanova hat, the autograph book by Bodine Sanders. You can win a $200 Amazon gift card, a $100 Amazon gift card. So we're hoping to get to 1,000 subscribers. We just newly launched our channel, so we need your help. I mean, everybody has 10 friends. You tell a friend 10 friends, they tell 10 friends, and maybe we can get it done by Christmas. That'll be our Christmas gift. So we're hoping everybody is gonna act as Santa. But that's my thoughts, gentlemen. What do you have to say?
Ho ho ho! Let's bring on Christmas next week.
Yeah, that'll be
That's going to be a free for all.
that'll be a free for all. So David, you could call your father out live on air and we could all see it. That'll be fun for us. And I would love to see, we have Fred Funnies tuning in on the sidelines as well. Love to see Brandon back on the show. We'd love to see you, Justin. We would really like to see you on camera. We're hoping that happens and we can.
Yeah, Justin needs to come out of hiding.
Right. We're trying to encourage Justin to come on. You don't even have to say anything. Just come on. Just say one or two things. We'd love to have you. We can have 10 people on at a time. So we may have to, to bump people off, bump them back on, but we're certainly willing to do that. And we can have a rotating schedule, but bring your favorite snack, bring your favorite drink. Maybe we'll play some games. We'll probably go late. We won't be on a schedule that night. And we're looking forward to that.
Good deal. Let's do it.
That'll be cool.
David's already ready. He can bring the heat if the topic is the NFL.
Let's go, David. Bring it.
All right, let's bring it. So we got to wrap it up on time tonight, folks, because we have another something else coming up on the network at 11. So I'm going to throw it to Bodine for some closing thoughts.
Happy holidays. These up.
All right. So next week, we promise you twice as much fun. All right. So, and of course, like I always say, my favorite holiday delicacy is crispy bacon. So we can't forget crispy bacon behind the scenes. And we thank all the viewers, Fred, David, of course, Justin, Brandon. We had Tim tonight. Will was on. San was on. George. We had a full crew tonight. And I'm sure there are plenty of people. There are people behind the scenes that we can't see. I know you're not commenting. I can see there are additional viewers. So whomever you are, Kelvin, thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate this.
I want to say happy birthday to my brother-in-law.
All right. Do we need to sing?
Big Tim, happy birthday.
All right. Happy birthday, Tim. And then that's it. So Adrian, you want to say any closing thoughts?
No, I'm good. I thought it was a great show. Looks like we had some more viewers tonight. I kind of looked at it on the other side, so it's looking good, and I'm looking forward to next week. Definitely looking forward to next week.
Super Bowl is in mid-February, not in the beginning of February, because of the extended week of extended games, right? So I think it's the 13th. So I think that's like the second week of February. So, and that's Black History Month. So maybe we'll come up with something for that as well.
All right, definitely. We should have a Super Bowl party, of course, and we certainly want to do something to celebrate Black History Month. We should probably do two separate things. Black History Month deserves its own accolades. We don't want to lump it in. That's much greater and broader than just in relation to sports, of course. So let's do something. Even if maybe we'll do a special instead of doing a sports program or perhaps sports. We'll have an entirely different special on. It doesn't even have to be a Wednesday night. We'll throw in a second show during the week and dedicate something to Black History Month. I think that'd be great.
Be great.
Awesome. All right.
All right, perfect. All right. Thanks, everybody. You can play us out, Chris, and we'll see you next week. It's our big holiday show.
These up.
These up.